neon lights, Punk crowd dives, and Newark, New Jersey comes alive. And since the sports teams there cannot keep a lead, they asked AEW, please set us free. I'm Charles Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite from Newark, New Jersey. The moments on the show range from pretty good to not so good. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, quite a bit of hype for the two shows next week at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Pay-per-view worthy edition of Dynamite and a special 2-hour pay-per-view worthy edition of Rampage. Seriously, the cards are fucking loaded. The talents are going to be motivated. The stadium atmosphere is going to be great. And the crowd, I hope, is really electric. Dun, 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 dun. I'm really looking forward to Dynamite and Rampage in all seriousness. I think they could be two of the best shows that AEW has produced on television in quite a while. So, there's going to be some praise and some scoring for this particular episode. You may notice this is going up a few hours earlier than normal. See, I've been working nights on Wednesdays for quite a while. That's why the reviews are usually delayed and I don't watch it live. But because of a schedule change this particular week, I was able to watch live. Hooray! So anyway, the crowd opens with CM Punk, getting a pretty goddamn thunderous reaction. He's out there for commentary, and he dives into the crowd. Now, I've never done a crowd dive, but if I picked my first crowd dive, it wouldn't be in a place like Newark. Hi, Kier, how you doing? So anyway, JR, Shivani, and Excalibur back from his wedding. Congratulations to Excalibur and his wife. Maybe they both wore masks. I don't know, but seriously, congratulations to them. And CM Punk joining commentary. And I love Punk's, turns on commentary when he was injured in WWE, and he really is great as far as his knowledge of wrestling. He's just got a great wit about him. The thing is I knew that we weren't going to be able to have nice things, and that at some point I said, within, the first hour, or maybe by the beginning of the second hour, Team Taz is going to come out, it's going to be a verbal altercation, or Hobbs is going to lay him out, or something's going to happen to where Punk's going to get taken off the commentary, because a four-man booth, even with somebody as good as Punk, gets overcrowded. Or in the case of Jericho on Rampage, it gets to the point where you have an old man just yelling at shit. And trust me, I know about being old and yelling about wrestling. So anyway, we started with Adam Cole, baby, getting a pretty goddamn sizable reaction. And it's Adam Cole, baby, against the Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian. So, I love Frankie Kazarian. I don't know why he's carrying John Henry's hammer there in his entrance video. But it is what it is, and since I like Kazarian and I like Adam Cole, baby, and they are both really good. Kazarian's obviously been wrestling longer, but Cole is a world travel veteran as well. And it's just so smooth in the ring. It's something fresh. I did like, though, how CM Punk, did a little tribute to Norm Macdonald, recently passed comedian, when he said, you guessed it, Frankie Kazarian. That was pretty good. That was pretty damn good. You guessed it, Frank Stallone. So anyway, the pace was good as expected. Kazarian kept trying to go for the cross-face chicken wing. At one point, Adam Cole, baby, tried to do the Sweet Chin music thing. And, well, unlike, post-September 2004 Shawn Michaels, Cole can see straight, but that didn't necessarily work. It was just to troll the crowd and everything. We get the 1-2, boo, yay, boo, yay, boo, yay. And then, even though Kazarian kept trying to go for broke and go for that chicken wing, he got hit with the Panama Sunrise, Panama, and then he got hit from behind with the last shot, or whatever he's calling it right now. I actually don't know what Adam Cole's going to call it. I know for the last 4 years it was called the last shot in WWE, so what is the actual name of the move? What did he call it in Ring of Honor and stuff like that? Let me know. He gets him from behind for the win, and Adam Cole's story time, not Nightwish's story time. That was a great song. It's also stuck in my head, and if you know anything about Nightwish, well, their songs can worm their way into your head, no matter who the lead singer is. Anyway, he says, talking about hope. Hope with keeping up with the elite. Well, nobody really needs to keep up with the elite because with the exception of people that are basically just dragging their legs because they're asleep, everybody's ahead of the elite. And the Bullet Club, because neither of those stables are any fucking good. If you think they're good, that's fine. I don't. I like Adam Cole, baby, but this is ridiculous. It makes sense as far as him being a heel, but he mentions how he's sick of the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage and everything. He's only been here for a bit and he's sick of them. How about we get the Super Click back together? Super stimulating click. It's Cole and the Bucks, Cole Bucks, if you will, against the only two good members, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and Christian Cage. It's going to be on Rampage next Friday. Sorry, I was holding my notes. Couldn't do both hands. Now I do Rampage. Jazz hands. I'm going to stop doing that eventually, but not now. So, okay, Cole can cut a hell of a goddamn promo. I think by Full Gear, he's going to move away from the Elite, the Elite. So we get the Lucha Bros doing a pre-tape about the Butcher and the Blade, who apparently are their next challengers. Now, I have nothing against the Butcher and the Blade, but they've only won matches on Dark. Butcher just came back from an injury. How are they the number one contenders? The Lucha Bros just say, hey, by the way, we're just going to beat the shit out of you. I mean, that's fine. I have nothing against that. But again, good on the Butcher coming back. He really does. He really did seem emotional like the first match he came back. So good for him. And then Fuego del Sol is there with Alex Marvez and Sammy laying on a car for some reason. And Del Sol says, hey, Miro, we have unfinished business from that match where you basically beat the shit out of me, even though I did all those DDTs and I got a contract. So I want to challenge you this Friday. He's not learning his lesson, and he's going to learn a harsh lesson that you don't challenge Miro, the word of the Reamer. You do not challenge the Reamer to another match. The Redeemer, I know, but it's funny. So MJF and Wardlow come out, and, well, Wardlow's tiny tank top. Hi, Roxy, how you doing? MJF just, he's just knocking Brian Pillman Jr., calling him Crying Brian. And he's just knocking the sports team, knocking all that, knocking a dump like New Jersey and everything. To be fair, from what I've seen, he's not wrong. I'm kidding. Hi. It's the Garden State for a reason. Garden variety. What the fuck is this state? Not that my state's much better. So anyway, they're allowed shut the fuck up chants. They could have tried to edit that and it wouldn't have done any good. You would have been cutting off MJF. And then he says, I want to talk with, Brian Pillman Sr., the loose cannon. And he's looking up and he says, who am I kidding? And then he's opening up like he's talking down to hell. This was so great. I love the segment last week where he was just calling Pillman Jr.'s mother Methany. That was so goddamn good. This was great. It wasn't as good as last week's because that was just goddamn lightning in the ball. But MJF is the goddamn best heel in wrestling. Easily one of, if not the best promo. He's the best promo in AEW. And that's nothing against Punk and a couple others. Nothing against Kingston. MJF's on another goddamn level. And personally, I love watching MJF. I love hearing his promos. I love watching his matches. He's not like flashy and everything, but he's a good, old school throwback territorial, heel and everything. He could just get so much anger. And he's just so goddamn good at being a chicken shit. He's like a mixture of Tully Blanchard and like, he's like a different version of Tully Blanchard, basically. That's what he is. But just with the mic skills just amped the fuck up. But he's just yelling at him, yelling at Pillman in hell. Eddie isn't up in heaven. He's down there in hell. And he says, tell your son that if he shows up next Wednesday, I will maim him. He'll just destroy him and everything. He's still yelling here. And then the music hits. Brian Pillman Jr.'s music hits. And he says, Wardlow, go get him. And then Wardlow's just staying there on the ramp and everything looking, huh? And then a blindside by Brian Pillman Jr. He has a chair and MJF's begging off and everything. And then Wardlow basically just kind of, he slaps Wardlow at one point, Pillman Jr. does. Why you would slap a man that goddamn big, I have no idea, but he does outsmart him, and the power of his maroon pants failed him. God damn it, it was like Samson with his hair. But anyway, Pillman Jr. outsmarts, and it's just a way to hype up for next week. So, I will say this was a little bit rushed, but this wasn't bad. Now here's my question, though. We go then right to JR doing a sit-down interview with Pillman Jr., about his dad, and Pillman's fired up about beating up MJF. Here's a question. Why didn't you put this on before the goddamn, altercation that we just had? That would have made more sense. Flip-flop this shit, because it just seemed like it didn't format this show very well, which is weird, because of the pre-tape. If they had any kind of, semblance of coherent production, they would have put this before. Mistakes happen and everything, but still, it's fucking silly. It's just, this is amateurish that they made this mistake. By the way, we then go to Jurassic Express. We go Jungle Boy cutting a promo. Apparently, Jungle Boy is not a fan of promos, but that's all right. He's talking, and then Christian Cage starts talking, kind of cuts him off, and says, "Well, Cole, you left developmental or whatever, and since you're used to losing the Wednesday Night Wars, let's add to that at Rampage. Get rid of Stunt. Get rid of him. Put him on the other side. Put him in the front row where he belongs. Just." As a wrestler, he does not belong. I'm not saying as a person. Got nothing against him as a person. But visually, it's not. It's just ridiculous. It brings down any segment he's involved in. But anyway, we get no TV entrances for the next two teams. It's FTR with Tully Blanchard against Dante Martin and Matt Seidel. Now, granted, Matt Seidel and Dante Martin are a makeshift team, but we actually get to hear the last few seconds of Dante Martin. So Dante really has a bright future. He really does. Darius, and when he comes back, they're going to do great things as a team. I hope he's almost recovered. It was fine. It wasn't a great match, but it was what it was. Matt Seidel did get targeted for a while. There were a few cool moves and everything. FTR, I love the tribute Bobby Eaton tights. Really nice stuff. Dante gets a hot tag. Goes nuts. This guy is smooth as silk. I just hope he can stay injury-free. Injuries do happen, but I hope he can stay injury-free. Because he's, 20? That's another 15 to 20 goddamn years. I mean, obviously, he's going to have to change up his style here and there. But he is really fucking good. He makes it look natural, effortless, and it's different. Yes, people can do dives and stuff like that, but just for some reason, something's a little bit different about him. He has that star quality where he's going to be a star, whether in AEW or somewhere else. He is going to be a star for in wrestling for years to come. He's got a bit to go, but he's got something. And Big Rig, 1, 2, 3. FTR get the victory by pinning Dante, which makes sense. And then they talk about the Suzuki incident. You know the whole thing about how Kazarian, the theme was cut off last week, which I didn't like, but I wasn't going to vilify the goddamn company outside of saying it was really stupid as far as a production flaw or flub or whatever. And Punk's making fun of that. And we go to a pre-tape with Archer and Suzuki. Suzuki-gun, Ichiban. Suzuki, I will say, it's still scary to see the Murder Grandpa on an American TV show, American TV wrestling show. And they're going to have a match next week. It's going to be, Kingston and Mox against Archer and Suzuki. That's going to, ooh boy. Ooh boy. So, can you be your own worst enemy in the House of Black? Hi, TNA Creative. You know who you are. Thought you'd appreciate that. Okay, so Aleister Black. Sorry, Malachi. Apologies. Malachi Black. He's got the spoopy entrance and everything and all that stuff. And he's talking about, there's an enemy among us in the House of Black. I guess you can be your own worst enemy, yet when we say it. So, points to the Go Big Show judge. It's Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson, by the way, who is a bright, good actress and beautiful. And I really enjoyed her in a lot of movies. Why was she there? Why was she... God damn. Cody then, by the way, eventually makes his appearance by running down the goddamn length of the steps in dress shoes and wearing a very red, suit that was definitely a conservative choice of gear. If you get it, you get it. And Rosario jumps on Malachi. This is making him look ridiculous. This is making him look stupid. Congratulations. You managed to make Malachi Black look like a goddamn idiot there. And yes, him and Cody were fighting and stuff like that because Cody and Malachi are going to have a match next week, and Cody's probably going to get his win back, and we're just going to love it, aren't we? No, the crowd did not the crowd popped a little bit for Cody, but there were quite a few. Why the fuck are you here? Now, maybe I was hearing things, because I think some fans cheered him, because Cody still has his pockets of fans. But Cody, I don't fucking care about him as a wrestler. As a person, rose to the top, that can piss the fuck off, but he's not his dad. He's never going to be his dad. And Punk tried to make this work, but it didn't. And then we get a Bunny pre-tape. The Bunny looks good. She has good personality. Whew. Promos are not her thing. Wrestling is not her thing. Okay, the Dark Order are doing infighting. Yes, this is all leading. Shout out producer Rob, by the way. We talked briefly during the show. This is all to set up Adam Page, Hangman Page coming back, and finding himself because he's on paternity leave. There with his, I don't know if it's fiance or wife or whatever. None of my difference. It makes no difference to me. They either had their kid or she's gonna have her kid soon. Congratulations, regardless. I love Hangman Page. He is a bright star for them, and whenever he comes back, good for him. But I don't care about this infight. I don't care about the Dark Order, Wolfpack, and Black and White and everything. And J basically says, I don't want you out there for my match on Friday. And then Dan Lambert is just yelling, hey, everybody look, an old man's talking. Then he mentions a 5'8" guy climbing up to the high rise and then diving onto his lifeless opponent through 6 tables. At least it wasn't the Kemper Arena that he said this in. Oh. Seriously, it would have been really goddamn bad if he had said that. He's just mocking, everybody being the old man yells at cloud. He's basically being Cornette and every old man critic that there is. I mean, that's what he is. And Dan Lambert, he's doing the best that he can. This is one of the times where I did not care for what he was fucking saying. And then, I did kind of like one line, though. Dan Lambert is like if Heenan had a wardrobe, full of affliction, which is kind of funny. Jericho's here. Hager's here. This was embarrassing. This was really bad. It was just Hager standing there. It was the Men of the Year, Junior Dos Santos, and a couple other people around Dan Lambert. I don't know who the woman was. I apologize. But it was a bunch of people. It was like 6 or 7 people. And then Dan Lambert's just yelling, and Jericho's yelling. This was fucking terrible. Old men yelling at AEW clouds. Because Jericho just can't stand criticism, just like he can't stand the fact that some people will not forget the fact that his wife, first name, lots of numbers, and his stupid mother-in-law were at the January 6th insurrection attempt. They were part of that, and my God, Jericho won't address it. Almost like he donated money to the goddamn pile of shit, and he thinks that he's Teflon. Well, he's not. And by the way, if you think that that's a good thing that he did that, toodle on off. I don't want you here, and I don't fucking care, because I'm going to keep saying my shit, because guess what? I do this for fun, not for funds. Yeah, this is really stupid. He references his fight with Brock and others his fight with Goldberg. Back in 2003, by the way. That's back, around the time where Jericho actually could still go in the goddamn ring and wasn't gassed during his entrance. By the way, they also sung Judas at one point because Dan Lambert knocked the song. Old men yelling. This is stupid. We're going to have a tag match next week. It's going to be Jericho and Hager against the Men of the Year. The Men of the Year. That doesn't quite work as well as that Zebrahead song. And this is where the show kind of hit a wall. Because we get the Gun Club saying, just say when. We turned on Paul White because we wanted to. We're undefeated, yet we get no respect. Any combination of us is undefeated. Hands up if you forgot that the Gun Club, teamed up in any memorable match. Billy is in great shape. Colton and Austin, they're coming along just fine. I don't care about the Gun Club. And the fact that they took this long to reference the turn that nobody really cared about seeing, I don't know why it really matters. I think it's only been a couple of weeks, but seriously, why do we care? Billy Gunn versus Big Show, or Paul White rather, in 2021. I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to see them team up in 2001. Okay, now Jade Cargill versus Leyla Hirsch. Smart Mark Sterling is there, and I'm going to tell you right now what this match reminded me of. Remember Lord Steven Regal against Goldberg in that February 1998 episode of Nitro, where somebody got exposed as not being ready, and they needed to keep it short and sweet? That's what happened here. Jade has a hell of a presence. Leyla wrestled circles around her. Now, Jade obviously needs a lot of training. She has the poise. She has that star quality. Leyla, my fucking goodness. Leyla just did everything she could to try and make Jade look dominant. Jade can do some power stuff, but this was not good. This really exposed Jade as probably not being ready to be in any kind of high-profile matches yet. That doesn't mean she won't get there. But yeah, keep the matches short and sweet. There's a reason why her matches need to be maybe 90 seconds at the most with her posing, because this, no. And Sterling also took a dive and everything because Lana, no, wait, wrong Sterling. So, we then get Jaded for 3. Leyla Hirsch may be one of my favorite wrestlers of the year just because she can get the best out of anybody. Except here, she tried. Anyway, Andrade doesn't like liars, and then he yells at his manager, whatever the hell the guy's name is, and then he's the Kingpin. So now he needs to get a big head and take on the Punisher in that arcade game. I love that game. So, it's Taz and Hook! Noah, you stop thirsting over Hook and his glorious hair, or his chia hair. What the hell is on his head? Who am I to talk about somebody's hair? But seriously, I mean, Noah, you have claimed to be a hooker. However you want to take that, folks, but Noah, you know, and I mean, it's all in good fun because Noah's an awesome guy, really cool person to talk to, but he certainly lets his opinions be known. So, anyway, they confront Punk and everything. Taz is really upset, and then Hook decides, Hobbs blindsides him, they try to have a battle. Hook gets Punk from behind or whatever. Again, Noah stopped thinking about it. And that was basically it right there. We get a chokeslam through the table that doesn't break. Punk really looking like he hurt himself. But yeah, Hobbs doing that. I hope that Hobbs is okay because he really got rocked last week against Dante Martin. This was messy. Really messy. Oh, look, Spears is here and says, oh, Darby, you said that I'm a piece of shit and I'm generic. Well, you're right. So you agree. You're generic. Good job, Spears. Maybe you should have thought that one through. The chairman cometh. Well, the former Peyton Royce likes that. So Spears with Tully versus Darby with Sting. Spears really stepped it up there. And I don't know why Darby did the apron flip. I don't know why Darby refuses to see the age of 40. Why was Spears rubbing the paint off? Why is Spears? I wrote down. We get a dive on the steps where Spears is sitting on the steps. I do like Darby's dives. He does them impactfully. Coffin drop. Coffin flop sign was really nice. 1, 2, 3. So aftermath, FTR attacks. Tully basically, has a chair and he hits Sting, and then we get a spike pile driver on Sting, and then they rub the face paint off of Darby, and then Sting. You're not a renegade, you're just Rick. And if you know what that's from, oh boy, that's what this reminded me of. I mean, granted, at this point, the fact that Sting can even walk, given some of the shit that he's been through, is a miracle. So, just, God, this was, I guess it makes, they're going to have Tully get back in the ring, and I don't want it. And they're possibly going to have Ric Flair come in and be back in the ring for one match. I don't want it. So, Daniel Bryan does a pre-tape. He's very excited to wrestle. Here's Shivani interview Bryan Danielson. Callis looking like a tan bottle of Pepto-Bismol. And Bryan just shoots him, Shawn down, call him a piece of shit a whole lot and everything, which is basically what Callis is Don Scarlet Fever Callis and everything. And Bryan says to Omega, let's give the people what they want. Are you the best bout machine? Are you this? No. Okada's not there to make Omega look better than he actually is. And he says, I just think that you don't have the balls. So Omega says yes. And they're going to face off. Hooray! Let me just say right now, Omega is a very good athlete. You can't wrestle a 65-minute match, 2 out of 3 falls, no time limit match against Okada, and do some other marathon matches without being a really good athlete. But Omega is not, he's certainly not the god of pro wrestling because God doesn't exist. And Omega's status as the god of pro wrestling doesn't fucking exist either because there are so many people above him. And if you like Omega, that's great. So Miro says that Del Sol isn't being smart. And why would you put your throat on a blade that spared you? That's a good line. Matt says to Orange Cassidy, Orange Egghead. Matt Hardy doesn't mean anything. Lucha Bros versus Butcher and Blade. Bunny versus Jay. Miro versus Del Sol this week on Rampage. Omega versus Danielson. Cody versus Malachi. MJF versus Pillman Jr. Britt versus Ruby. FTR versus Darby and Sting on Dynamite in Arthur Ashe Stadium. And then we get Cole and the Bucks versus Jurassic Express and Cage. And then we get Sky and Ethan versus Jericho and Hager. Punk versus Hobbs. Rampage, 2 hours. Kind of getting a little bit weird with the timing there. 2.0 attack Moxley and Kingston before the break. I guess it was a handicap match because Garcia kept interfering. And eventually Moxley and Kingston win. Now, it wasn't a bad match. And the reason this is the main event is, oh no, Kaza Nina Ray hits. And they finally played the whole theme. Good. And then I called basically, I said this is the main event because Suzuki and Archer are going to end up attacking, laying them out, and doing some stuff to hype up for next week. That's what happened. Archer then pulls Kingston, and they do some, brawling and everything. Mox hits Suzuki in the face with the mic, and the previously injured eye, and Suzuki's like, ow, my eye, I'm not supposed to get a microphone in it. And that's basically it. They fight off and they do all this stuff, and that's basically it. Let's see what the Arthur Ashe shows are now. Arthur Ashe shows are next week. But first, Rampage this Friday. By the way, I should say at the end, in case you guys are watching, the Rampage review is going to be up a little bit later than normal because I have to actually close this Friday due to the fact that I had schedule change. So, I will be doing what I can to get that review up as early as possible, but it's probably not going to be till Saturday morning. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.